According to the most recent sources, Sean Combs, better known by his stage name P. Diddy, is ringing in the new year with a spectacular change of events. The once respected music mogul is currently coping with the aftermath of his arrest and ongoing legal issues while spending his first holiday season behind bars. This already difficult case has become even more complex after a judge recently decided that one of his accusers can remain nameless. According to reports, Diddy, who is usually calm, apparently lost it inside the Brooklyn Metropolitan Detention Center. He reportedly had a complete breakdown in his cell over the holidays and demanded to be brought to the hospital, according to sources. But the guards didn't comply. He couldn't relax unless he spent hours breathing deeply and meditating. His mental health has previously been questioned. During his initial admission to the facility, he was placed under suicide watch, but this was removed a few weeks later. Others contend that Diddy is barely hanging on, obviously impacted by the strain of the situation, while others assert that he is maintaining his composure and that his only difficulty is being away from his kids and family at Christmas. It's obvious that the accusations against him and his current imprisonment are having a negative impact on a man who formerly had a position of authority and respect in the room. To date, every attempt by Diddy's legal team to have him released on bail has been turned down. Just 1 month ago, his defense team made their final attempt to have him placed under house arrest and permitted to remain in his luxurious apartment in New York's Upper East Side. His defense team had hoped he could remain at his opulent Miami estate on Star Island, but the judge swiftly ruled against that option because the feds had searched the property earlier in the year. Rather, they suggested that Diddy be let to stay in his three-bedroom apartment in New York, but with some extremely stringent requirements: a $50 million bond, round-the-clock security supervision, and no access to the phone or internet unless it was required for legal purposes. Pre-approval was required even for visitors. It was obvious that Diddy and his group had not hoped for this strict and tightly controlled scenario. Amid all of this turmoil, Diddy's defense team has also made an effort to present him in a more favorable light, trying to persuade the public and the legal system that he is not the monster that some have painted him as. Mark Agnifilo, his attorney, has gone to considerable measures to assert that there is no possibility that Diddy was violent, highlighting the fact that the terms of the bail package they suggested were more stringent than those in the jail. He even claimed that, despite the fact that it was obvious Diddy had no plans to leave the nation, his legal team was making every effort to show his regret and sincerity about the matter, including paying off the mortgage on his Miami mansion and turning over his passport. Judges have consistently denied Diddy's bail pleas in spite of these attempts. Diddy's attempts to leave have failed 3 times now, and it appears that his legal team is aware that things are not going his way. The legal obstacles have kept piling up despite all of his aggressive efforts, leaving the music tycoon in a deeper and deeper hole. Diddy reportedly reached a breaking point around the holidays while inside, becoming so upset that he pleaded with the guards to take him to the hospital. He reportedly became extremely frustrated when he was unable to obtain bail before Christmas, which ultimately forced him to have what some have called a meltdown. Ever the survivor, Diddy reportedly worked through the mental turmoil on his own by calming himself with hours of deep breathing and meditation. It is a depressing picture of a guy whose kingdom, which was once characterized by strength and self-assurance, now appears to be collapsing in his face. However, not everyone accepts the reports of Diddy's collapse. Others assert that his mental health is stable and that, like everyone else, he is simply missing his family around the holidays. But according to people with knowledge of the matter, the truth is much more nuanced. In direct contrast to the calm, collected tycoon we knew prior to his imprisonment, Diddy has reportedly lost weight, and his hair has turned gray while incarcerated. He is obviously feeling the physical effects of the increasing strain of his legal issues. On the other hand, Diddy faces the most serious charges possible. Legal professionals are closely monitoring this case, particularly in light of the discovery that prosecutors are using the testimony of other victims to support their case. The course of this case will be significantly influenced by these victims, who are scheduled to testify in the upcoming months. Diddy's defense team is already preparing to cast doubt on the veracity of some of the decades-old charges by pointing up small discrepancies, such dates or locations that don't fit the accuser's accounts. Asserting that many of the accusers are just motivated by money or fame, Diddy's attorneys are also getting ready to make the case that some of the sex was consensual. The Jane Doe case, in which a woman accused Diddy and Jay-Z of sexual misconduct in 2000, is one of the more well-known examples in this complex web. A judge recently decided that this woman could stay anonymous for the time being, which has led to more court cases as Diddy's team attempts to reveal who she is. Diddy's defense team is determined to discredit the accusers, and they are aware that releasing these names could deter future victims from coming forward. However, Diddy's legal team has already received a warning from the court that such aggressive methods are not acceptable. Diddy's defense will keep concentrating on contesting every facet of the prosecution's plan as the case develops. In an effort to make people question the accusations, the defense has been working to refute the claims. Given that some of the claimed occurrences are so old, they want to criticize the timing of the claims and ask why victims are only now coming forward with their stories. They think this will contribute to the jury's skepticism. Meanwhile, the prosecution is getting ready for a long and hard fight. They are trying to make sure that their main witnesses, including Cassie, the well-known ex-girlfriend, have flawless testimony that can withstand cross-examination. They are determined to make sure they give a compelling story that persuades the jury that Diddy's acts were not consenting, and they think their case is strong. Whether Diddy himself will testify is the main question that hangs over the entire case. As the defendant, he has the option, but it's unclear if doing so would be best for him. Any testimony from Diddy might expose him to harsh cross-examination that could harm his case because of the contentious 2016 video with Cassie. The potential for additional well-known figures to be identified as witnesses or called to testify is another twist in the case. Jay-Z may find himself in the spotlight because his name has already been linked to some of the accusations. Although his level of involvement is unknown, the fact that he is brought up in the case is cause for concern. The celebrity world may be rocked if more names are added, which might result in even more stringent legal scrutiny. Although the trial itself is scheduled to start in May, there is no assurance that this date will be met. The trial may be postponed if further charges are brought forth, such as witness tampering or human trafficking of kids. Diddy, on the other hand, is strongly advocating for it to move forward swiftly, mostly because being imprisoned is a powerful incentive to have this matter settled as soon as possible. The process may take years if he were released on bail, but being in detention appears to have accelerated it significantly. The growing body of evidence is making it abundantly evident that this case is far from concluded, regardless of when he is put on trial. For Diddy's legal staff, the stakes are very high. They have previously submitted petitions claiming that investigators are giving the federal government access to material, which most people see as a delay tactic. But the prosecution doesn't believe it. In an effort to prevent any more delays, they have already retaliated by calling for earlier pre-trial disclosures. Both parties are preparing for conflict as the trial's deadline draws near, citing an excessive amount of material that they say they cannot adequately evaluate in time. The defense is attempting to drag out the proceedings. Nonetheless, the prosecution is urging that the trial go forward as planned. There's a lot on the line, and everyone is getting ready for what is sure to be a high-profile and grueling trial. Many people are left wondering how this case will turn out as it develops. Will the evidence and the victims' testimonies be sufficient to bring Diddy to justice? Or will he be able to avoid conviction? Keep checking back because there may be more surprises to come. This narrative is far from over.